calling in a few minutes late from Accounting Fly. Thank you so much for joining, and sorry for the delay. We had a couple of technical issues with our GoToWebinar, but we think we fixed them, so we're going to just roll right along and spend an hour talking about global career opportunities with the experts from ACCA. We're going to record today's session, and if you would like a recording of it, we'll be sending a link to everyone who registered for the webinar towards the end of this week. So if you're waiting on that, you don't have it by Monday, feel free to email me at jeff@accountingfly.com. So welcome to Meet the Firms Week. For those of you who have not been a part of the webinars this week, we've had really outstanding sessions. Of course, they'll all be on our YouTube channel. Talked about careers in management accounting for college graduates. And we talked about the CPA exam yesterday. Today we're going to be speaking about the landscape for global opportunities. Just a quick plug for tomorrow's webinar. We're going to be walking through the opportunities around small firms here in the United States. I really hope we have a great turnout for that because Darren Root is an amazing presenter. And I think you'll be very shocked at what you hear about the lucrative opportunities inside small firms. Think about it. Think about all the baby boomers here in the United States who are going to be retiring over the next few years. A lot of businesses are going to change hands. So he's going to talk about putting yourself in that position in the accounting industry. And then on Friday, we're going to be talking about technology, accounting software that can help you get a job with zero. Today's session is global opportunities in accounting and finance. We have an international team here presenting to you, all part of the ACCA. So in the ACCA's New York, or the ACCA U.S. headquarters in New York, we have Sujata Adamson Mohan. So she is the ACCA engagement manager, and she'll be on later to answer some questions. In London, we have Ross Leah, who is the head of professional development with the ACCA. And we have our presenter today, Alan Hatfield. So real quick, we're going to do this very quickly. If you can tell us what school you go to, you probably know what I'm talking about. Use your question and answer panel and give us what school you go to and where you're from. While you're doing that, I'm going to queue up a quick announcement. So let me tell you about ACCA. ACCA is the global body for professional accountants. They aim to offer business-relevant, first-choice qualifications to people of application ability and ambition around the world who seek a rewarding career in accountancy, finance, and management. It was founded in 1904. ACCA has consistently held unique core values: opportunity, diversity, innovation, integrity, and accountability. And we believe that financial professionals bring value to economies in all stages of development. I have the privilege of being a partner of, or Accounting Fly happens to be a partner of ACCA, and we appreciate everything that they do. So I'm going to bring in Alan Hatfield now. Alan is the Director of Learning for ACCA Global. And that means Alan spends a lot of his time developing the curriculum and the test that the chartered accountants must pass globally to become certified chartered accountants. So, Alan, despite all the wackiness here at the beginning of our presentation, we're fighting through it, and this is my favorite presentation last year. I love, maybe it's just your accent, Alan, but so that gives you a few points, okay, a few style points, but the presentation is always phenomenal too. Thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you. I'll be back for Q&A at the end of the session.
Thank you, Jeff, for that wonderful introduction, and hello, everyone. As Jeff said, my name is Alan Hatfield, and I'm the Director of Learning at ACCA. A couple of things, first of all, before I launch into the presentation. Myself and my colleague Roz are here in London, and it's miserable outside. It's raining, it's wet, it's cold. And so I know that when I did this presentation session, a similar session a few months ago, there were lots of students, accounting students across the US in lots of sunny locations, which kept me and my colleague at the time full of life throughout the presentation. So I'm just going to imagine you in the sun as we are sitting here in the rain. The second thing to say is, and I'm sure some of you may have gathered from my accent, that I'm Scottish. I'm originally from Glasgow, although I'm based in London. That does mean I have a Scottish accent, as Jeff alluded to. And normally I speak very quickly, but I'll try and just monitor the pace I go at so that you do understand the Scottish accent throughout the presentation. Okay, I'm delighted to be here joining you today on this ACCA webinar and as part of the National Meet the Firms Week. We have prepared a presentation for you which I'd like to go over, and the presentation is entitled Global Opportunities in Accounting and Finance, and it's also specifically looking at the future world of the Chief Financial Officer, or CFO. And I hope this theme will show you what lies ahead when it comes to the role of tomorrow's CFO. I also hope to show you how you can become the CFO of tomorrow by following ACCA's pathway and taking the ACCA qualification. So we have probably 30 to 40 minutes planned for the presentation, which I hope will give us some time for questions at the end. In terms of the agenda for the presentation, I'd like to do this in 3 parts. So the first part is looking a bit more closely at who ACCA is and what we do. And I'll share with you our mission, our aims, and our values. And I'll also talk a bit about what we offer through the ACCA qualification. I'd like to then talk to you about how we can help you on your pathway to a career in accountancy. And then thirdly, I'd like to talk about what the future holds for the CFO and the accountancy profession. So, if I can jump straight into part 1 of the presentation and talk about who we are. So, as Jeff mentioned in his introduction, ACCA is the global body for professional accountants. We are a not-for-profit organisation that offers qualifications and sets of exams to enable individuals to access the accountancy profession globally. As a professional membership body in accountancy, we also have a monitoring and a regulatory role. So we monitor our accountants in all sectors and in all countries across the world to enable them to reach a high level of competency and experience. And in doing so, we create the best accountants, we believe, to deliver organisational growth across the world. We also ensure our members are regulated in their work and professional conduct, very importantly, and we've adopted leading practice in our approaches to disciplinary procedures as well. Now, I'd like to go back to the beginning of ACCA, and this isn't a picture of me, for those of you who are wondering. This is a picture of ACCA's first ever president. And this is a gentleman called Arthur Prideaux. And Arthur Prideaux was one of the founding members of ACCA. And on the 30th of November 1904, he was one of 8 accountants who met in London and who formed ACCA. And I'd like to share with you why he did that. So, this founding value that you can see on the screen here remains as relevant today as it was a century ago. But the founding value was to give everyone who intended to take up the profession and could prove by examination their fitness and experience an opportunity of joining an association which could provide them with a qualification they could use. And that mission is relevant now as it was relevant in 1904. And it really forms the values that ACCA has as an organisation. And those values are coming up on the screen now. So these are our ACCA's core values, and by remaining true to them, we have provided opportunity for people in many countries around the world to join the accountancy profession. And throughout our history, we've put these qualities, these values of opportunity, innovation, integrity, diversity, and accountability, we've put them at the heart of everything we do as an organisation. Now, in terms of our global numbers, from our founding over a century ago, we've now an established network of over 170,000 members around the world, as well as over 436,000 students who are currently studying for the ACCA qualification. We operate out of 91 international offices and centres, and as Jeff mentioned, we have Sujata in New York at the moment, which is one of our international offices, and we are in over 180 countries around the world. So we have a presence in over 180 countries around the world. Taking a look at the ACCA qualification, the ACCA offers business relevant, highly respected qualifications to people of application, ability and ambition around the world who are seeking a rewarding career in accountancy, finance and management. The ACCA qualification gives the skills and the knowledge needed to progress within the finance profession. And it delivers the accounting and finance knowledge, the accounting and finance skills, and professional values needed by all organisations, regardless of the sector, regardless of the country from which they operate. And very importantly, it embeds the global standards which are set by the International Federation of Accountants, IFAC. All ACCA members go through a rigorous process of training, including work experience, as well as ethics requirements, as well as their programme of exams prior to qualifying. And through this, they gain their prestigious membership through becoming an internationally recognised ACCA member. Now, we work to ensure that the ACCA qualification is fit for the future, and that's a core responsibility which I have with my team. We work to make sure that the qualification is responsive, it's innovative, and that it's leading the way. We also work to ensure it fits with ACCA's commitment to delivering public value, and for this means acting in the public interest, promoting ethical business, and supporting economic growth. And in a few more slides, I'll go into a bit more detail about the ACCA qualification. But first of all, I'd like to look at the value of ACCA members. We believe that accountants play vital roles in both the private and public sector. And under our banner of Accountants for Business, we promote their value as advocates of sound business practices, champions of sustainable business development, and identifiers of value drivers which lead to high-performing organisations. So, quite simply, ACCA accountants transform the finance capabilities of their organisations as they're trained to be both technically robust as well as strategically excellent. And through their in-depth knowledge of a wide range of management and financial skills, ACCA accountants have the expertise and capability they need to make their organisation thrive. So the value of ACCA and our members rests in our reputation and also in the ACCA brand. Now, ACCA is also in the business of reputation and influence, and we operate to share expertise and knowledge with our various stakeholders globally. And this international network of stakeholders provides an opportunity to identify and explore trends and issues crucial for business, economies, society, and the profession now and in the future. And ACCA has a respected research programme which welcomes and encourages empirical and applied research from around the world to explore issues surrounding broad themes such as audit and society, access to finance, accountancy futures, corporate reporting, and many more, some of which are listed on the slide in front of you. We've undertaken much of this work with our US-based strategic partner, IMA, who I'm sure many of you will be familiar with. And this is in particular in looking at the effects of the global economy and the future of the profession. Okay, the future of accountancy depends on shaping and influencing public policy, as well as demonstrating thought leadership in education, training, and ethics. And ACCA and its members ensure that this happens by playing key roles in building the global accountancy profession. We work with many other bodies at an international, a regional, and a local level. And some of these influential bodies are listed here on this slide. And for ACCA, it's important we're part of this global network of high-profile organisations. But why is ACCA different? Well, we have a saying which is that we are prepared to be different, but what do we mean by this? Simply put, our members and our students come from a diverse mix of backgrounds, a diverse mix of cultures, and this helps organisations benefit from their fresh thinking and from their different perspectives. And we embody this different approach within our brand and within our membership, and indeed within the people who work for ACCA itself. Now, being different also reflects ACCA's value I mentioned earlier, those of opportunity, diversity, innovation, accountability, and integrity. And we've established and grown the accountancy profession in both developed as well as emerging markets around the world. So capacity building is also a key part of our global work. We've also been pioneering. As an early adopter in sustainability reporting, for example, we believe all major entities in the public and private sectors should report publicly on the impact of their activities on the environments in which they operate, along with reporting on their policies and how these have been translated into practice. And finally, strong ethics are very much at the centre of professionalism, and ACCA is an active supporter of IFAC, and we share its strong focus on professional values, ethics and governance, as demonstrated by the firm emphasis on ethics and governance within the ACCA qualification. Additionally, continuing professional development has been a requirement of ACCA membership since 2005, ensuring our members meet business and public expectations and achieve their career aspirations. Okay, so that's a little about ACCA and our mission and our values and some of our activities at an organisational level. And moving on to part 2, I'd like to look at how ACCA can help you on a pathway to a career in accountancy. Now, I am not a careers advisor, but I do have a wealth of knowledge about training, development and career planning within the accountancy profession. And ACCA can lead you to a career within numerous sectors, including public practice, including public sector, financial services, and the corporate sector. So we have members working in many different organisations around the world, from the big 4 accountancy firms to mining, to fashion retail, even to the heart of government, so across all sectors. And returning to the ACCA qualification, I want to do this because recent history shows how quickly the business environment can change, and with it the demands placed on the finance function. And through ACCA, accountants can deal with all of those demands through the ACCA qualification and through our ongoing CPD, continuing professional development requirements. They have to do when they become members. They gain a broader and more complete skill set than through many other qualifications. Fully prepared professional accountants with a complete skill set can strengthen finance functions and deliver enhanced value because they are trained in all key areas of the business. Now, the ACCA qualification covers everything that a professional accountant needs to know. It's a complete syllabus, and no important areas of knowledge or skill are left out of that syllabus. Particularly important is that, as well as covering vital areas of strategic management, risk and planning, it also covers the key areas where finance professionals need a firm grounding, including financial reporting, tax and audit. Today's CFO has to pull off a challenging balancing act. They have to collaborate with the top executive team to drive strategy and growth, whilst also ensuring the business has the firm foundations in the form of effective risk management, internal controls, and governance procedures. Not only that, accountants have to see the bigger organisational picture. They have to be prepared for the future. And CFOs need to have a thorough grounding across the entire spectrum of financial management, from budgeting to performance management, compliance and assurance. Not only that, they need to be great people managers too. Now, this view has been validated by ACCA research, which offered a unique insight into the needs of CFOs when hiring and seeking new talent to join their teams. And we published research in relation to this in a report called The Complete Finance Professional: Why Breadth and Depth of Finance Capability Matter in Today's Finance Function. For this, we surveyed nearly 500 CFOs across a range of different markets, including the UK, Malaysia, Russia, China, and the UAE. And we asked them a series of questions about what was important to them when it comes to appointing newly qualified accountants. What gives them the confidence in their new hires, and what skills enable them to grow their business, particularly since the financial crisis. And so what were the results? Well, our research shows that recruiters, that employers are looking to appoint the complete finance professional. They're seeking out newly qualified accountants who have both the breadth and the depths of skills. More than 80% of respondents said a complete understanding of the finance value chain, from budgeting to external reporting, and how all this fits together was absolutely critical. The importance of newly qualified finance professionals having a good working knowledge of different finance areas also resulted in high scores for each subject. For instance, 96% said newly qualified finance professionals should know about financial management. 94% said it was important to have a good understanding of professionalism and ethics. Management skills scored 73%, while stakeholder relationship management came slightly lower at 68%, possibly because CFOs responsible for hiring would see this as something as a development that they would offer to their recruits for the future. But it's clear from this research that the business world will drive demand for this breadth and depth of knowledge. CFOs will need to have a thorough grounding across the entire spectrum of financial management, from budgeting to performance management, compliance and assurance. And ACCA understands that many of the younger generation in the workforce are seeking wider business careers, while some continue to want to pursue classic finance careers. So broad-based finance qualifications, such as ACCA, help you to keep your career doors open to pursue a wider range of finance and business careers. And it means you're qualified to be competent and skillful in a wide range of disciplines. Now, this leads me to competency. ACCA has a competency framework, and this framework allows us to show employers, it allows us to show students, potential students, education providers, universities, and our members the competencies that an ACCA qualified accountant has to help an employer grow their business. And our competencies show the skills and the abilities required of business leaders and finance professionals. And these competencies are split into 10 areas where we feel finance professionals have to succeed in order to have a successful career in business and finance. And the ACCA qualification comprehensively covers these abilities and these behaviours through our exams, our practical experience requirements, and our ethics requirements. And these are the 10 key competencies that we've identified. So by competency, we mean the fundamental knowledge, ability, or expertise in a specific subject area or a specific behaviour. And the competency framework has been developed so that we're clear about the key skills, not just demanded in an increasingly globalised and rapidly changing business environment, but they're also provided through the ACCA qualification. So this dial that you have in front of you shows the 10 key competencies, and we believe all of these areas make up the complete finance professional. I'm not going to go through all 10, but I do want to highlight one or two. The first one is leadership and management, and this is about managing resources, leading organisations effectively and ethically, and understanding stakeholder needs and priorities. Sustainable management accounting looks at assessing, evaluating, and implementing management accounting and performance management systems for planning, measuring, controlling, and monitoring business performance to ensure sustainable value creation. And finally, at the centre of the dial, I just want to highlight professionalism and ethics, understanding and behaving in accordance with fundamental principles of ethical behaviour and personal ethics, and ensuring the implementation of appropriate corporate ethical frameworks. Now, all of these competencies you can explore in more detail on the ACCA website, and you can click on the interactive online tool that we have around the competency framework to find out more information around how the competencies link to different jobs and business sectors, and how with these competencies, both technical and behavioural, how these competencies are demonstrated through the ACCA qualification, through our exams, our experience, and our ethics requirements. Okay. Now, ensuring that the qualification is relevant is absolutely critical to myself and my team, and we have made the ACCA qualification even more relevant to certain sectors such as the corporate sector and business leadership. And these are some of the developments that we've introduced recently. For example, the last one there on the list with integrated reporting. ACCA is the first professional accountancy body to examine our students on integrated reporting, and we're doing that globally from December 2014. Now, ensuring that our syllabus remains cutting edge and up to date and relevant for employers ensures that ACCA students develop as fully competent professionals with the latest accounting skills and knowledge that they require to be able to perform and be successful across all sectors. And in this way, we believe that we're leading the way in providing the world with the complete finance professionals that it needs. Now, this week I know you're looking at careers, and ACCA itself has its own careers microsite. So I just wanted to share a shot of acccareers.com, which is our careers website aimed at those who want to join the accountancy profession, or indeed those who are already working as accountants or in finance, who are looking for their next step in their career. The website provides really useful and vital information about working in accountancy, as well as the facility to browse and apply for finance jobs worldwide. So through ACCA Careers, we also offer a unique opportunity to reach a pool of qualified accountants and highly skilled finance professionals in their target location. And we have a number of country-specific dedicated websites around the world as well. We also provide a careers clinic through the website, and you can even watch me on the website as well, providing careers advice and professional skills advice as well. And there's lots of advice on there around CVs or resumes and career development. We also have a wealth of information on careers planning and feedback from our members, very importantly, on the value that the ACCA qualification has given them, why they chose ACCA, and what their journeys have been through becoming ACCA members. And this is just a screenshot of a site that we have called Planning Your Journey. It includes case studies, and it really has an advocacy objective where you can find out how ACCA students and ACCA members have become successful in their careers in finance and business around the world. Okay, I just want to move to part 3 of the presentation and just think about what the future holds. And I'm sure many of you will agree that the future is indeed a very tricky thing to discuss, and no one is capable of determining exactly what tomorrow might hold. But let me speculate nonetheless, and with the help of ACCA's Futures Academy, our think tank on all things future, I'd just like to share with you some of the observations that we have. We live in a time where the world and the respective economies are exposed to constant shifts, and this is expected to continue, where change will be all-encompassing and will affect all corners of the global economy, all corners of businesses and the accountancy profession. And by having an understanding of the emerging trends, then it helps us to better prepare and places us in a stronger position to change, to adjust and to evolve. And it helps us to define what the profession could look like in the future. What are the forces behind this turbulence? Well, shifts in power and wealth, extreme economic uncertainty, and political transitions are occurring. And at the same time, the business landscape is being reshaped by a combination of globalisation, market volatility, and transformational innovation. And the impact of these challenges is compounded by rapid advances in science and technology, demographic shifts, and new disruptive business models emerging. So these are exciting times, and challenges are there to be grasped. But to enable ACCA to understand the future, we recently conducted a global survey, and we produced a report called 100 Drivers for Change. And the report looked at how accountants might then respond to these changes. So the starting point of this was through an Accountancy Futures Academy project conducted by ACCA in partnership with our US-based strategic partner IMA, and it was to address the following question: what are the key factors ACCA and IMA members should be thinking about to prepare for future opportunities and challenges over the next 5 to 10 years? And we spoke to members of ACCA's Accountancy Futures Academy for this research, which then resulted in our report showing the 100 drivers of change. Now, these were then distilled into 8 clear headings to categorize the different drivers, and you can see these in front of you now. So in our report, these 8 broad categories are examined in detail, However, for this presentation, I'm just very briefly going to look at one of them, and that's in science and technology. Now, there's no doubt we live in a rapidly changing technological time, and it's for this reason that technology will have a significant impact on the role of finance professionals and the roles that they perform in the future. And the profession needs to embrace technology. It needs to lead the way with developments in social media and, for example, in managing big data. Technology can dramatically reshape the remit and purpose of the finance function and, importantly, what gets done where. And we can certainly expect to see more automation of finance processes, for example, but there will always be the need for finance professionals to understand, to explain, and to communicate the numbers and financial figures. And there will always be the need for the finance professional to be the human face behind all the technology that supports their work. Now, what does this mean, and how do we respond to these categories of changes? Well, in our report, an analysis of all the 100 drivers and the potential interactions between them, it suggests that the decade ahead will be characterized by many forces acting on business and the accountancy profession. And so the profession needs to be ready for future business opportunities. And in our report, IMA and ACCA defined 5 things that business needs to do and 5 things that the accountancy profession needs to do to prepare for the future. So, 5 imperatives for business. The business world needs to plan ahead. They need to firstly assume and plan for volatility. With uncertainty as the new norm, businesses have to factor in turbulence as a very real possibility and develop strategies for a range of different economic and market scenarios. Secondly, they need to build their radar, preparing for a wide range of possibilities, tolerance of uncertainty, curiosity, and seeing around corners are all becoming critical developments and critical priorities for managers and leaders alike. Thirdly, they need to pursue technology leadership. The pace and disruptive potential of information and communications technology development has placed technology at the heart of strategy and operations of businesses of almost every size. Fourthly, they need to prepare for true globalisation. The development of a truly global operating model is becoming increasingly a priority, and a clear emphasis is required on leveraging technology effectively to do this. Equally important is developing the capability of management to work with, adapt, and get the best out of a multi-location, multicultural, and age-diverse workforce. Fifthly, for organisations, they need to develop a curious, experimental, and adaptable mindset. And a critical success factor in an increasingly complex and fast-changing environment is building that curious culture. And this implies nurturing an environment that's open to external ideas and in which participants are encouraged to forge a network of strong working relationships across the entire business ecosystem. Okay, these are the priorities for the organization. At a profession level, so for the global accountancy profession, here are the 5 priorities which were identified through this research. So the accountancy profession needs to embrace an enlarged strategic and commercial role for the professional accountant. It needs to establish trust and ethical leadership within organizations and economies. It needs to focus on a holistic view of complexity, risk, and performance. It needs to develop a global orientation, and it needs to reinvent the talent pool of professional accountants. Now, for me, looking across those 10 priorities for the organization, for the business, and for the profession, the two that strike me as the most important imperatives are to develop a curious, experimental and adaptable mindset, as well as a profession, to establish that trust and that ethical leadership which organizations and economies so desperately need. Now, it's talented people who can make these things happen, not strategies or rules, but it's people. And sometimes it's easy to forget that people make a business thrive, and it's people that make a business grow. They make a strategy happen, and they will instill the trust and the confidence that organizations and economies need. And for ACCA, the future of finance talent is something which we take very seriously. We know from our research with employers and members that the pathways to financial leadership are changing, and our qualification, the ACCA qualification, both reflects and it preempts that change. Now, the accountancy is a profession that offers and delivers public value. And so if you want a rewarding career that can take you anywhere, then this is the profession that you can get, that can get you where you want to be, whether that's in the boardroom as a CFO or as a small business owner, advising other small businesses about their financial strategies and development. All organizations need professionals who understand finance. All organizations need talented people who can help make the business a success. And we need to be mindful that professional accountants play a vital role in wider society too. They provide real value by giving businesses and individuals the confidence to invest, and in turn allows countries, organizations, and most importantly people the opportunity to realize their potential. And that's absolutely the mission of ACCA. It was our mission in 1904, and it remains our mission now, and it will remain our mission into the future. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, the presentation has helped you understand a bit more about ACCA and how we can help you succeed in where you want to be in the future. If you are interested in studying the ACCA qualification, or if you have any questions about ACCA, then we have the email address there. So acca.usa@accglobal.com. And at this point, I'd like to say thank you for listening. And I'd like to hand over to Jeff to facilitate what time we have left. Jeff?
Mm-hmm. Alan, thank you so much. And I'll get right to a couple of questions. I feel like I need to ask if students are interested in just benefiting from all of the thought leadership and the research that ACCA conducts, where could they go? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, so the first port of call would be the ACCA website. So www.accglobal.com. We have a tremendous resource of research and insights which can be accessed through the website. If there are specific areas of interest, then email the email in front of you on the screen, and I'm sure that we would also be able to direct you to the right areas to access that research.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. And I couldn't help but think in the presentation, Alan, that there's this one point that really stuck out at me, and for everyone on this call, the first decade of their career, of the audience today, their career, that they need to be planning for volatility. I mean, expecting it and actually being prepared to just deal with it up front and embrace globalization. Yeah. And you know, I think that that's a major takeaway for me, and probably for some of the audience too. And I think that just connecting with ACCA on what you guys are trying to educate the financial leaders globally could benefit everybody on the call. So I was going to ask, I just want to make that comment. Do you have any comments in response to that? If not, I'll ask a couple quick questions.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I think embracing globalization and planning for volatility is absolutely key. I think when thinking about embracing globalization, it's important to think about how organizations are operating globally. And with the ACCA qualification being a globally relevant qualification, then it gives you the tools and the competencies that enable you to operate at that global level. It also provides a network. ACCA as an organization provides a network of, I mentioned we have over 170,000 members globally. We have over 436,000 students globally. That's an amazing network to become part of, and to understand the diversity and the experiences within that network, to then start to build your own network and think about how your career is then going to make a difference.
Alan, I may bring in Sujata here to ask about the ACCA in the United States. We have a lot of questions just about how visible is the ACCA in the U.S. and Sujata, what's the relationship between the students who may be having American careers and the ACCA, and just what is your kind of overall thoughts about what you tell American students about the ACCA?
Hi, Jeff. Thank you. So obviously here in the United States, CPA is the national qualification, but we do have a lot of ACCA members and students working and studying here. A lot of them have moved over with their organization, but some have just moved here with family or interest in living here in the United States. I would say that, as Alan mentioned, we have members and students in all different types of organizations, from government to public sector and private sector positions. And I think that one of the really unique aspects of ACCA is that it provides a background in IFRS. And I think if you're working for a global company or planning on working internationally, that is a really key component. As well as our ethics module, which Alan touched on a little bit, but it's a really big piece of ACCA, and I think that when you look at a lot of the press that's going on around different companies and issues that are taking place, ethics is at the heart of many of those issues, and so I think that's what makes ACCA so strong.
Perfect, Sujata, and thank you for stepping in and talking a little bit about that. And obviously, Sujata, that reaches your group as well, the email address on the screen, acca.usa@acccaglobal.com, right?
Absolutely, yep.
Fantastic. Okay, so Alan, I want to throw one more question, and we may just go over just probably 1 or 2 minutes, but okay, so do people with a global qualification like ACCA tend to find themselves pursuing cross-border careers?
It's certainly for ACCA something that we see increasingly, where Sujata, for example, mentioned multinationals who are operating in different geographies. And with that, having a qualification which provides you with that, I suppose, addition in terms of an international passport to enable you to operate across different sectors, but also different geographies, is a real advantage of the ACCA qualification. Increasingly, we see mobility increasing. And we see it in lots of in lots across our different markets. So I understand that within our audience we have US students, but we also have international students who are studying in the US. And in many respects, ACCA provides that bridge, because not only is ACCA recognized and highly respected within the education hub that they might be studying, but it's also in many cases highly respected and regarded in markets where they may wish to then go and work in the future or return home, for example. So, if I use an example of the UK, we have lots of Chinese students who start studying ACCA in China. They then complete not just their academic qualifications, so their bachelor's, but they'll also begin studying for their professional qualification. They'll then come to the UK to further that study and also complete their master's on the way to becoming an ACCA member. And then many of them will either return to take a role within an organisation in China, or may go on to another market. But the point is, ACCA has acted as that bridge. So it has acted as the bridge of the qualification to provide them with that journey, but also the bridge to employers because of ACCA's market recognition globally with employers.
I remember when I was at an ACCA event in New York City, I spent some time talking to a financial manager with British Airways. He was from the UK and then came over here when he got married, lived in New York City, and runs a finance department at British Airways. Yeah. Just you know, another of thousands of examples I would imagine of cross-border careers held, you know, that happens when you have an ACCA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know my colleague Roz Leah, our head of professional development, is online as well. And Roz, do you want to add any points to that?
And Roz, we can't hear you if you're talking. If you're able to unmute your phone, we'll be able to pick you up.
Actually, sorry, I missed that, Alan. We had somebody coming in to check how long we would be on the call because the time in the UK, I think they were quite keen to close the building. So can you repeat the question? Sorry, okay, Alan. Alan can't see me.
That's planning for volatility. We were just talking about the portability that the ACCA qualification provides, but also increasingly we see our students and members looking for careers which are across borders, and whether you had any insights that you wanted to add on that.
No, I think that is something that's quite interesting. I mean, ACCA's global network, and I know Alan did allude to this, is great. I mean, I look at a lot of discussions we have on LinkedIn and in other communities where there's a lot of sharing about a lot of students or members are quite keen to move to different markets, and because we have a global network, it's possible to connect with members and students in different markets and get some sort of inside knowledge about what it means to work in a market, the different cultures. And I know we've done quite a lot of research recently on what employers are looking for, and at the CFO level, I would certainly reiterate that employers like to see people who've got experience of working in different cultures. I mean, in my own limited experience in the UK, particularly in, say, for example, the financial services sector, it's seen to be a very attractive thing to have on your CV, that you have worked in a different market, experienced different cultures. There's a very big emphasis on understanding diversity and what it means to be culturally sensitive. So I definitely think we're seeing a lot of migration, and I was recently in Vietnam, and a member was going to move back to Myanmar, and the qualification opens a lot of doors, and particularly in emerging markets there's a massive shortage of qualified accountants that a lot of ACCA members are capable of filling.
Thank you.
I think this is a good starting point for a conversation with our audience and ACCA, and Alan and Roz and Sujata, we thank you for bearing with the technical issues and giving a phenomenal presentation. I'll be sending out a recording for everybody. I'm glad that the audience has a channel to get in touch with you as well. Thank you so much for being a part of this and for walking us through this, Alan. And I think you did a great job. Okay.
Well, Jeff, thank you very much for the opportunity, and to everyone who's had the patience with the technical issues, and before we get thrown out of our building here, just to wish you all a good day and every success in your future career as a finance professional.
Fantastic. Well, this will conclude today's session. Good night to you in London, and have a great rest of the day, everybody on the call here in the U.S. Bye for now. Thanks again.